This episode of Rhizome is brought to you in part by the Synthesis Security Group and Fuzzy Wuzzy Signal Processing, a venture of Ian Swanke. Copyright 2026. All rights reserved.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into a fascinating global mystery about the hidden, everyday people who, well, might just be holding the entire universe together. You know that feeling when you walk past a stranger on the street, maybe someone sweeping a sidewalk or just carrying their groceries, and you get this strange sense that there's more to them than meets the eye? Well, we are going to explore a deeply rooted human concept that literally spans continents, centuries, and totally different belief systems. It's this wild idea that the ultimate power in the universe doesn't reside in grand palaces or corporate boardrooms, but actually in the most unassuming corners of our everyday lives.
So what if the world is kept spinning by exactly 36 people you've never even met? Let's hook right into this incredibly mind-bending idea, starting with an ancient, highly specific piece of Jewish mysticism that proposes exactly that. I mean, just imagine this massive cosmic balancing act where the absolute survival of humanity hinges not on huge armies or powerful governments, but on exactly 36 individuals. You've never met them. They've never even met each other. But without them, the whole shebang just completely falls apart.
Okay, Section 1, the Hidden 36, also known as the Lamed Vav Tzadikim. This deeply captivating tradition actually originates all the way back in the Babylonian Talmud, specifically in these ancient texts exploring human goodness and divine grace. And what's really cool is that the math is baked right into the name itself. You see, in Hebrew numerology, which is known as Gematria, the letter Lamed equals 30, and the letter Vav equals 6. Put them together, you get 36, hence the Lamed Vavniks. According to the ancient Rabbi Abaye, these are 36 perfectly righteous individuals whose pure, everyday existence acts as an invisible shield for all of humanity.
Moving on to Section 2, Rules of the Righteous. Let's look at exactly how these 36 operate.
What is absolutely striking about the rules governing these people is the sheer contrast of it all. First up is absolute anonymity. So we aren't talking about famous religious scholars or kings here. We're talking about folks working the most mundane, obscure jobs imaginable. The folklore actually specifically mentions tailors, cobblers, wood choppers, and water carriers, and yet they are literally the pillars of creation. The legend basically says that because humanity is, well, constantly drifting toward cruelty, the world is preserved solely based on the merit of these hidden saints. The stakes are unfathomably high here. If even one of them were missing, the world collapses. Poof. But it's a flawless system. The very second one passes away, another is instantly born or elevated to take their place, locking in that perfect number of 36.
Which brings us to the ultimate paradox of the Lamed Vavniks. Their supreme humility is, without a doubt, their defining trait. They don't even know they belong to this group. They just go about their hard, totally ordinary lives, completely unaware of their massive cosmic weight. And the rule here is absolute. If you ever stand up and claim to be one of the 36, that very arrogance is undeniable, 100% proof that you are most definitely not one of them. Now, this captivating idea wasn't just left in the ancient texts to gather dust. It actually expanded heavily throughout 19th and 20th century European Jewish folklore, particularly within Hasidic Judaism, and eventually spilled right over into mainstream literature. We're talking deep explorations by some pretty famous authors. For instance, André Schwarzbart wrote this celebrated 1959 novel called The Last of the Just, which tracks a lineage of these hidden saints right up to the Holocaust. And the legendary Jorge Luis Borges, he was so fascinated by them that he actually included a whole entry on the Lamed Vavniks in his famous Book of Imaginary Beings. All right, let's jump into Section 3, the global spiritual archetype. This is where it becomes a truly universal human concept. Because as it turns out, this highly specific archetype of the unseen sustainer is not isolated at all. It actually crosses borders into almost every other global spiritual tradition you can think of. Take Islamic mysticism, specifically Sufism. There's a remarkably similar unseen governance of saints holding up the world. Right at the very top, you have the Kup, or the axis. This is the supreme, hidden anchor of divine grace. Right below him are the Otad, and I absolutely love this translation. It means the tent pegs. Just like actual physical pegs hold a tent down in a massive storm, these four hidden saints are positioned at the four corners of the earth, spiritually anchoring the entire world. Then, below them, you have the Nujaba and Nukaba, dozens of wandering saints who, very much like our Jewish water carriers from earlier, look exactly like everyday beggars or travelers, just quietly absorbing the suffering of humanity.
Moving further east, this archetype just flourishes in some incredible ways. Mahayana Buddhism features the Nirmanakaya. These are enlightened beings manifesting in totally ordinary earthly forms just to guide us, completely without blowing their cover. Over in Tibetan lore, you've got the Shambhala warriors, hidden masters waiting for a time of ultimate darkness to finally emerge and restore justice. And Chinese Taoism? Oh, it is incredibly rich with this. They speak of the 8 immortals and the hidden hermits, known as the Yanshi. These are profound, cosmic sages who actively reject wealth and high office. Instead, they purposefully disguise themselves as unkempt beggars or eccentric wine sellers, specifically to test the morals of the everyday mortals they happen to bump into.
Which brings us to Section 4, Gods in Disguise. This is the Western interpretation.
As we shift our focus to the West, there is a fascinating split that happens here. See, Eastern and Middle Eastern mystical traditions generally focus on hidden masters maintaining our daily balance, right? They're kind of like the spiritual mechanics keeping the engine of the universe humming along. But the West leans heavily on disguised gods dropping in for a surprise inspection, or these sleeping heroes. Think of the classic once and future king motif like King Arthur in Britain or Frederick Barbarossa over in Germany. The idea is, they aren't dead, they're literally just slumbering in hidden caves or on mystical islands, totally concealed from the modern world, just waiting for the ultimate crisis to return and save their people.
But hey, when those Western gods were actually awake, they were terrifyingly unpredictable. The ancient Greeks took this testing aspect very, very seriously through a concept called Xenodachia. This was the sacred duty of hospitality to strangers, and honestly, it was entirely rooted in sheer panic. You see, the Greeks firmly believed that turning away a ragged, dirt-covered beggar at your front door might literally mean you were slamming that door right in the face of an undercover Zeus, and you definitely don't want to do that.
The classic Ovidian myth of Baucis and Philemon brilliantly illustrates that exact terror. Just follow the timeline here. 2 weary, bedraggled strangers arrive in a town. Naturally, all the wealthy neighbors want absolutely nothing to do with them and reject them outright. But this poor, elderly couple, Baucis and Philemon, they welcome the wanderers into their tiny, impoverished hut and gladly share what little food they have. Suddenly, boom, the strangers reveal their true radiant forms. They are Zeus and Hermes. For their incredible kindness, the poor couple is saved, while this devastating divine flood completely wipes out their arrogant, inhospitable neighbors. It is pretty much the ultimate hidden master test.
All right, moving into Section 5, the universal lesson. Really, why do we even tell these stories?
When you pull the camera back to look at all of these rich traditions together, from the Jewish cobblers and the tent pegs of Sufism to the beggars of Taoism and the disguised Greek gods, you really have to ask yourself why so many completely isolated cultures invented variations of the exact same story. I think the undeniable answer is a profound worldwide call for universal respect. Whether it's a Lamed Vavnik or an immortal in disguise, these myths strip away all of our superficial obsessions with wealth, status, and flashy titles. It's just a powerful reminder that every single human being you interact with should be treated with the utmost dignity and kindness, because you truly, literally never know who is standing in front of you. The person society values the least might actually be the one holding it all together.
Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to take with you into your everyday life. When you leave your house today, just look around. Could that exhausted person sitting across from you on the bus, or maybe the barista who quietly made your coffee this morning, could they secretly be one of the 36 keeping the universe intact? Treat them as if they are. Thanks so much for exploring this incredible concept in today's Explainer, and definitely keep questioning what might be hidden right in front of you.
Now available exclusively on Amazon Kindle eBooks, Rhizome Summer 2026, a collection of essays, Rhizome Fall 2026 Book 2.